Hello everyone, so today we are here at Tang Audio Showroom, probably the best showroom in Vietnam in terms of sound quality. And as you see here, there's Soulution, there's Tape Head, and there's Magical as well. Today we have very special guest with us, Mr. Cyril from Soulution. And today we will talk a little bit about Soulution itself and also the new products that Soulution bring into high-end Munich and a lot other malls. You will learn about this video. So first, Mr. Cyril, thank you for doing interview with us. One thing that always strike me very interesting is Soulution probably is the pioneer in ultra high-end audios in terms of the two sections. One is the switch mode power supply in the product itself, and secondly, there is also the ultra wide bandwidth amplification. When people talk about switch mode power supply, they talk about that noise. Because most people think that switch mode power supply, they have a switching frequency, and sometimes the switch mode, the frequency can affect the audio frequency we can hear. And also, most people in the audiophile industry think that, okay, switch mode power supply is cool, is equal bad and cheap and everything like that. But when you look into the Soulution product, it's not cheap.
No, not at all.
And what do you think that switch mode power supply brings much cleaner and better DC compared to traditional toroidal that often appear on high-end unit?
Well, first to your question is maybe there is a reason why switch mode power supplies have a bad reputation in high-end audio, because it's not the first unit or the first product in audio which uses switch mode power supplies. It has been introduced way back in other products, maybe lower quality, low price products, where it has been implemented mainly to reduce cost and space requirements in those units. And if you go for these design goals, then of course you compromise in some areas, and this has happened in those products in the past. So that's where the bad reputation comes from for switch mode power supplies, because it was a different design purpose or goal than what we did follow here in the 711 or the Soulution amplification SMPSs. If you go for the switch mode power supply, or let's say the challenge of a power supply in such is that it has to provide clean DC power to the amplifier stages, and as clean as possible. That's one thing, so it should be noise free. And the second point is it should be perfectly stable, which means whenever the amplifier is asking for current, the output voltage should remain stable, not change at all. Now, if you look into the technology of the toroidal so-called linear power supplies with toroidal transformers and the
EI
and so on, these power supplies usually are not regulated. This means they do they generate the DC, and they have filter stages with capacitors, but in general there is no regulation stage which keeps the voltage perfectly stable, which means that whenever the amplifier is asking for current, the voltage will slightly drop. The better you design the linear power supply, the more stable this will stay, of course, but it cannot remain perfectly stable. In a switch mode power supply, this is very different to begin with, because a switch mode power supply is always regulated, always, which means that the output voltage of a switch mode power supply is always kept stable as much as possible. It's not perfect. I mean, there's nothing like perfect source in the world. That does not exist, but it gets very close to that. So to start with, it's just the better voltage source than a linear power supply in general. Then the next point is the switching, which is associated with generating noise and maybe folding back into the audio band. If you use switch mode power supplies, there is of course a wide variety of options you can use. Also, where you put that switching frequency. So the switch mode power supplies in the 711, for instance, they switch at around 70 kilohertz, which is already outside the audio band, and all the the harmonic noise which is generated is well above that.
Yes.
And it does not fall back into to the audio band in this case. So that's to filter this high frequency noise is a rather simple job on a switch mode power supply. But if you look now in a linear power supply, the rectifiers in there, which is also some sort of a switching device, not some sort of, it is a switching device, a rectifier which is switching at 50 or 60 hertz depending on the mains frequency, and then producing all the harmonics
after that,
which reaches well across all the audio band. It's, let's be open, it's terrible, right?
Yeah.
And it's a terrible task, or a very challenging task, actually, not terrible, a challenging task to reduce that noise to acceptable levels. That's possible. You can do that in a linear power supply, but it's a lot of effort, right? So the switch mode power supply has a lot of advantages to that.
Thì cái đầu tiên mà mình hỏi về Mr. Soulution đó chính là về phần nguồn phát. Bởi vì rất nhiều bạn hay nghĩ là nguồn phát tuyến tính, nguồn phát linear, tức là nguồn phát có biến áp, nguồn phát biến áp switch hoặc là cục AI chẳng hạn, thì nó sẽ tốt hơn nguồn phát là xung. Nhưng thực tế là không phải, bởi vì thực tế những cái con diode ở bên trong biến áp á, nó vẫn sẽ là những cái con switch, mà switch đó là ở 50 hoặc 60 tùy vào nguồn chính thôi. Còn ở trong mấy sản phẩm như là 711 như thế này thì nó switch ở tần số cao hơn là 70 kHz và nó sẽ không ảnh hưởng đến cái tần số mà các bạn nghe được là một. Thứ hai nữa là khi các bạn sử dụng trong cái việc những cái thiết bị khác nhau á, khi các bạn có sử dụng đòi hỏi những cái load lớn, những cái tải lớn thì cái điện áp nó sẽ bị hụt xuống một chút xíu, và điều này thì nó sẽ ra ít hơn so với lại cái việc sử dụng nguồn xung. Như vậy thì nguồn xung nó mang đến cái chuyện là nguồn nó ổn định hơn, chính xác hơn, ít bị hao hụt.